How to make a fashion design portfolio, step 2, sketch. Right now I have all the sketchbook pages I worked on from the last video on into my Adobe Illustrator, so that I'm going to trace all the inspiration pictures on my mannequin form that I always use. So you can see on the right side inside that pink box that I'm using the layers so that I can have kind of like separate control of all the images I have on Adobe Illustrator. So on one layer I have all those inspiration pictures, and then the second layer has all those mannequin form, and another layers only has this drawing I'm drawing right now, so that this way I can lock or unlock the layer so that I can have better control of it. So what I'm doing is I simply just copy and paste one of the sketchbook pages that I wanted to use as a shape of the garment. It could be just a detail or it could be an entire silhouette of the garment. So I'm trying to really play around. I'm using the brush tool on Adobe Illustrator so that it could be more free form, because this is only just a rough design sketch. You can also use it as simply just by hand. You can have all this printed out and then have your tracing paper and then just trace all the lines with your pencils or pens, or you can also do it on iPad. Any form you want to do, you can totally do it. I wanted to do it by iPad, but I don't have an iPad. So that I thought that maybe this would be the second simple option that I can have. So as you can see, I tried to make the inspiration pictures different sizes, different angle, or put it in different parts of the garment so that I can see how all these interesting lines could work on as a garment. At first, when I was working on the sketchbook, I thought that it could be just this big guitar and that would be it. But then this way I play around more, so it kind of gives me to think out of the box, which I think that very important, because I don't want just my collection to look like guitar or just guitar on some kind of like dress. I don't want something too literal. I want it to be something more like hidden meanings, or more like wearable, and you know what I mean. So as you can see, I tried to get only just a roughly simply draw things from the guitar, not too much, because this is only a rough sketch stage, and I try to see what I can get out of. Right now it may look like it doesn't look like a garment at all, but you can see later on that I'm going to incorporate it with all the garments. So I wanted to make my collection to be like from front looks more complicated like the guitar, and then back would be more simple, just like how the guitar is made. But maybe I will also incorporate it with my fabric or add more details later on, because at this point I only want to find these interesting lines or silhouettes from the guitar. So try to see what would be the best way I could make out of. And still, I want to use these cutout details I had on my sketchbook, so I'm trying to trace those on mannequin. So right now the brush I'm using is kind of thick, so it doesn't really allow me to draw like as detailed as possible, but I will correct all of those when I'm working on flats later on. And then also I mentioned many times that this is only the rough sketch, so I'm really still freeballing. So I'm not trying to really like get the actual lines. I'm just trying to only trace the lines, and that's it. So now I'm going to make them into a garment. So I want them to pop out, so I change the brush color to blue so that you can see how these design lines can be made into the garment. So I have one inspiration picture of this mandarin color button down shirt with all the fringes, so I wanted to use that as kind of like my key silhouette slash garment. So I wanted to incorporate that, so I just drew that mandarin color shirt first, and then now I'm thinking of this rock concert, so I'm making maybe something like jersey, crop top jersey t-shirt that you can wear it when you think about going to Coachella or something like that. And then also try to see if this guitar shape could be just as my entire garment. So I really try to make these lines into a garment. It could be just the detail or the entire silhouette. So as you can see, some things are already look like a garment, sort of, because as I was tracing the inspiration pictures, you were looking at like all those like playing around the pictures. The way I was playing it was because I wanted to see how these lines could work as a garment inside my head. So this one is something like a one shoulder kind of like cape look like, and then like asymmetrical dress. So now that I'm going to make some variations, because I have handful of some good designs, I feel like, but then still I want to see how I can make something more various out of that one design. You don't want to just work one design and then move on to something else, because then you actually end up running out of your source. So I always have pick out these some good designs and then try to make variations, which means that as you can see, the first shirt, the long sleeve shirt, was the one I drew first, and then now I try to play with that cutout circle and then try to draw it with long sleeve to short sleeve or top to dress, etc. And then another one is this jersey top, and I made it into maybe like very deep round cut shirt, or maybe something really different, like I'm only taking the rib detail to the neckline or the waistline. So I tried to make maybe something like a matching set. And then another one is that it looks like a dress, but it could be something like a top. Try to cooperate with the fringe detail I want to use. So it goes on and on. So that before, when I was working on the portfolio all the time, like in school, I used to have around like 1,000 sketches. So I think that this is like the very important step, pretty much like the most important step, because this is when you actually get all of your designs out of. So now what I'm doing is, some of the design was too simple, but you might remember I was saying that I wanted to do something more complicated and more detail on the front, like a guitar. So I took that one simple dress and then put it onto this guitar details so that I can add more details. So now the guitar is not only just some silhouette, it could be also this style lines inside the garment, because I don't want to have something too simple. I think that that's just not too interesting. So right now, these four designs are kind of like what I really like. So I try to play around with this one detail, so that I I wanted to see if I could make it out of something different top, like the mandarin shirt I'm really stuck with. Maybe you might not need 1,000 sketches, but you kind of have to see how these inspirations lead you to wear, so that you can get enough sketches to play with, because eventually the more you have, the better sketches or designs you can get. That's how I feel. So I just kept on drawing and drawing, but for this video I only drew a handful because I didn't want to draw like forever. And then also I had to edit the video to show you guys. So as many as possible, I tried to get all the designs out of the inspiration pictures. So this is really just keep on going for you guys. So there were like some other designs that I actually put aside. So I'm working on those right now. And then as I was drawing, I thought of something else with those fringes or something else, like that round circle on the guitar. Maybe I could play with it. And then now I try to do styling, which means that you have all those separate tops or bottoms or dress or jackets, and then you need to put them together so that it could be this one complete outfit. So that's called styling, and then we might want to say just playing with your dolls. So now that I have all those sketches out of sketchbook, so now I'm saving my file, and then I will see you next time. Bye!